We ignite the light and know that we truly are the light, and that there is this kindling that's there, and I think a lot of us are on fire from last week. I know a lot of people had said that their lives are changed. And so to know that we bring that with us, and that we have this place of creativity and creative expression which is already ignited within us. And we're in a month of creative expression where we ask and where we prepare, where we discover and ignite and then launch even more of our true self. And as we know that we're in this place of this culture that may say there's no way that ignition can happen, there's no way that that light can be brighter and shine who we truly are, what we can do is move from no way to new way. So we are in this new way, and I experienced, in essence, I took bear spray as a new way of hiking about a year ago when I went to Yellowstone. And I was looking for Brad Pitt all along because I'd gone rafting, and in The River Runs Through It, that movie is where Brad Pitt filmed that. So I'm looking for Brad Pitt out there, and so we're rafting down this river, and I had taken this bear spray. And I was with some friends, and I said, you know, as long as I don't have to worry about outrunning, as long as I'm outrunning you, it would be okay. I would be fine as long as I'm outrunning you. So being physically fit at that altitude, I'd been up to Big Sky Retreat in Montana. And it was this big sky, and I felt, you know, here we're about a mile high at the High Desert Center for Spiritual Living. We're about a mile high, but it was even a higher and a holy more experience, because when I'm walking around here, and I was with a community member taking a walk, and she says, you know, I hadn't picked up my journal in years, and it's a year for us of spiritual practice to experience this power of spiritual living, and I hadn't picked up my journal for years. And boy, it unleashed some wonderful things. I was ignited. I really had that passion and that fire. And what Erwin was talking about just now is that feeling tone that's around our experience. And so we have that which is the light, which is ignited in us. And so we have these lessons that we can bring from us. And as I was traveling up to Yellowstone, we were listening to some of the music from the Eagles. And you know, they know how to do it. They say we take it easy. We can take it to the limit. We can have this peaceful, easy feeling. So as we have that fire tone when that's in our spiritual practice, we can have that peaceful, easy feeling about life. So we can be a part of the answer, be a vibration of the answer and not just a reaction. We can be a part of the answer and be in that vibration, be in that feeling tone of taking it easy and taking it to the limit and showing our true colors and being part of the true light and being born to be who we truly are. So we have that place of being enough, and to realize that when we hear something that doesn't resonate with us, we can say, enough is enough. We can step out into our enoughness, step out and say, I am enough, and say, enough is enough. Enough is enough of people who may be depressed and choose to leave the planet, like Robin Williams, and to reach out and to listen to people, to be a listening presence, and to say, wow, there's an alternative, and to have that closeness and that connection with people so that there's that realization that they can move out of whatever that experience is, and to be their support, to have that support system, and to reach out from our heart, to reach out with that feeling tone of, I am enough, and enough is enough of that other experience. And how may I be useful? How may I be a beneficial presence in your life? We can also say enough is enough when we realize that there's a black man who is killed every 28 hours in America, and we can say that enough is enough. Enough is enough, and I can step out in my enoughness and make a difference, and to know that I am in essence a visionary, and that I can also be an activist in my own life, Because how many of us know of some visionaries who are not activists? They're just visionaries and dreamers and out here, and there's no follow-through, and there's nothing that comes to fruition. And it's just this vision, this dream that's over, just over here, but without action, without taking action, it could just be a fantasy. And how many of us know an activist who is not a visionary? And they may just be really, pissed off. They may just, sit at home and be angry or depressed or be provoked or irritated or agitated by whatever that is. If they don't have a vision and they're an activist, that could cause chaos. So we can come from that place of being both a visionary and an activist in our own lives, and to be, in essence, that growth catalyst for who we is. We is this presence and power that is meant to be, as far as showing that true color of light, that one light. And so to live in that world, to live in that frequency of a new world and a new paradigm. And I invite us to, as we ignite, and our next week will be launch, as we launch into a new paradigm and a new shift, to not take it from the news. In essence, that's old news. The news is to listen to the mystics. The news is to listen to an artist. The news is to listen to a flautist. Where did Ken go? He's to listen to the music that's in our hearts, still dancing and smiling in our hearts and carrying us forward. So we can come from this place of listening to the mystics, listening to the artists, listening to the musicians, listening to the creative expression that is within us, listening to what we are informed by our spiritual practice, like my walking partner who was informed by her journaling practice, which she reignited. She rekindled what was already available. She just picked up her tools. So she too was being a visionary and an activist. And that practice, affirmative prayer, visioning, that leads to our evolution. So we can be more informed by the news of the mystics, be informed by the news of that which resonates in our heart as we listen to that one voice, and to know that we can again shift from no way to a new way. So Dr. Roger Teal, senior minister at the Mile High Church in Denver, Colorado, he invites us to make this shift, and he actually had supported our youth in going to camp by giving us a scholarship. Actually, I think it supported two people going to camp. And so it would be an example of a visionary and an activist, and we can all have that in our life as we know that we can go back and ask these questions that Disciplined Dreaming, or this breakthrough in creativity, our book of the month, Disciplined Dreaming, offers. So we have this ability to have dreaming, in essence, being that visionary, being that activist, and to yet have some discipline to it, which allows us to have this creative expression even more fully. So I know that as we ask those questions as far as what if, what if and why not? What if there was a candy bar that would have us have less calories and lose weight? What if that was a possibility in this whole realm of possibilities? And as far as preparation, we can be prepared for the future. We can also be spontaneous at the same time and have a balance of being spontaneous and looking toward the future as well. We can also discover, as Dr. Wayne Dyer would say, we can discover that if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. We can move from being no way to a new way. So as we move from no way to new way, we ignite. And so we ignite these sparks of creativity, and we also know what not to do. In this no way section, we know what not to do, and there's 8 commandments. You ready to hear the 8 commandments? Sure. Yeah? Good. All right. So the first one is thou shalt not judge. So imagine yourself journaling like our community member was journaling, and just to let it flow, to not judge. And when J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, she was fortunate because she didn't have pen and paper. She was just receiving the download of the story. She didn't edit it. She just let it flow. So she didn't judge. She also didn't comment. She didn't comment to herself. You know, we all have that inner commentator. Kind of, if we're not listening to the news commentator, we might have that inner commentator, right? So the other steps were to not edit. To not edit, because we can all be authors of something as magnificent as Harry Potter. And so we shall not execute, or we shall not worry. Rehearsing might be worry. And I had a friend of mine who would say that our life is not a dress rehearsal. Our life is not a dress rehearsal. And so we don't need to worry. We can just show up and not have it to be pre-rehearsed. We can just show up and know that as we're focused and that as we're energized, we're able to focus on the relationships. So we have the relationships, and then we have the actions. So we have the relationship with the divine. We have the relationship of how we bring that divine into our human experience. We have that place of that we ignite that light. And so there's no need to look backwards. There's no need to lose our focus, because we're focused on that one, on the one. And so in essence, we bring that energy with us. And we can't help but not be provided for. We have that energy. And so in essence, we're not sapping energy of anything or anyone. Anyone know any energy vampire? Or are you an energy vampire? No? No. So we're not. We have that energy, and we're done. We're done with negativity. We are done with negativity. And in September, we're going to move through a month of fasting from our negative thoughts, fasting from negative people, fasting from negative experiences. And to know that, you know, negativity, just like war or just like situations that are unfortunate, what has it gotten us? What has the negativity gotten us? So we're ready to move into the positivity of that ignition we've already taken off, and knowing that we're empowered. We also have a formula of scamper. Now, scamper it sounds like creative expression, doesn't it? Yeah. We can scamper and be in this relatedness with the connection with the divine. We're relating to the relationships in our life. We're relating to the wonder that's absolutely available in our life. So we can scamper. Scamper is a really hot acronym. You ready for the hot acronym? There was a founder of the word brainstorming, and he owned this ad agency. His name's Alex Osborne, and so he coined the term brainstorming. And what he asked us to do, breakfast of champions. Did anyone have breakfast of champions today? Breakfast of champions? He came up with some new and exciting breakfast cereal that fueled. So as we look at this as a tool in our own life, and this is our book of the month, Disciplined Dreaming by Josh Linkler. As we look at this as a tool, we can expand our horizon of creativity by not shutting off with those 8 commandments. We're in essence opening up the faucet, opening up the flow to scamper and have this creative expression. So he invites us to substitute, for instance, cornflakes led to bran flakes. You know, it was the same type of fuel. Cornflakes led to bran flakes. And then he substituted the ingredient where puffed rice helped launch Rice Krispies. And don't we all love those Rice Krispie, you know, treats with the marshmallows and all that? What it was pretty much the same recipe. So much like our spiritual practice, the same type of recipe on how it works. Dr. Ernest Holmes calls it the way it works. We just choose whatever those ingredients are. So we may substitute a different ingredient. Hey, if negativity's not working, we're going to substitute positivity. So we can combine some delicious ingredients. It might be that Raisin Bran was born from bran flakes. It might be that we adapt. And so we adapt as visionaries. We adapt as being both a visionary and an activist in our life. We adapt, and we have that flexibility and that spontaneity in our asking of the divine and the preparation and igniting what we discover and launching, and knowing that we can truly magnify or minimize. Don't we do that in affirmative prayer? We can magnify what we desire, what desires most to come through us and be an experience as us. We can magnify and amplify the good in our life. We can also minimize what's not working. so we can magnify the good and know that there is the good that is ever available to us in harmony and balance and as this light-filled presence. We can also put things to use. We can also eliminate what stands in the way. And we can also rearrange or reverse whatever that trend is. So we, in essence, as we set the intent, as Wayne Dyer said, as we look at things, things change. As we change the way that we look at things, we can then rearrange or reverse that experience, because we're on some type of trajectory or some type of trend. So that as we have, for instance, my walks in the woods, as we have this walking in this holy time, we can have that trajectory be that which is filled with the divine nature, that which is filled with this diversity in looking for Brad Pitt on the Gallatin River. So we can get back to wonder. We can get back to wonder and discovery, and knowing that we truly are able to brainstorm and to be this place of spirit, this amazing presence and power that moves in, through, and as, and all around us. And I remember one of my teachers, Dr. Peggy Bassett at the Huntington Beach Church of Religious Science in the early 80s, and Reverend Linda McNamara, who invited me to be part of their pastoral care program and to lead a heart-to-heart connection, and where we touched base with about 450 people each quarter, and there was about 3,000 people in the community at the time. We would connect. We would connect and have that deep sharing just by reaching out with people on the phone. And I invite us to think of someone right now who we'd like to reach out and ignite their passion. We'd like to ignite their inspiration, their upliftment, and to, in essence, accept and affirm for them that there's a new way. There's a new way, and here I am to be ushering and escorting people along the way, and to know that there's that relatedness and that connectivity that everyone has, and to reach out from that sense of oneness, from this place of wholeness and balance and harmony, to know that there is the infinite unfoldment of the divine. There's this uniqueness and this pattern that is my life. So being in this uniqueness, being in this brilliance, being in the light, being in the vibration of love, being in the joy, being in the harmony, being in the well-being, test drive that this week. You know, take that for a test drive of that vitality, that vigor, that which is already infused right here and right now, to be part of that activation, that appreciation of the genius of who we truly are, the genius of the success of who we truly are. And it's like the acorn already has the oak tree in it. And when I was traveling at Yellowstone, there was a fire in 1988, and we could still see some of the remnants of it. And it was necessary for new life to come to fruition there. There was new life, and it cleared away some of the debris that eliminates step. It cleared away some of the debris that was there, and there's new life that was just born to be out of its recognition of its own self. There was that which evolved. There was new vegetation that evolved in the presence of the fire. There were naturally, it was a natural occurrence. And it was I think, the largest. It went over 4 months. It was the largest fire, but it was a part of the ecosystem. It was a part of what was necessary. And so that fire returned the necessary nutrients to the soil, and some of those species who weren't there, some of that new way, some of that new life, it would not have been possible had some of that not happened. And they actually depend upon the fire. So that fire promoted the diversity by removing some of that overstory. Does anyone have an overstory in their life? We tell over and over again, an overstory. So we can allow a different plant, a different planting to come to fruition in our lives and to become established, and to know that in essence it prevents more fires because there was that overgrowth or that overstory. So as we have a new way of creative expression, as we ignite from this place of relatedness and wonder and accept and affirm that which is the divine pattern, the spiritual idea of our life, we can breathe easy and embrace this on a regular basis. We participate in the infinite unfolding of the Spirit. And so Dr. Peggy Bassett and Reverend Linda McNamara saw something within me 30-some years ago that says, wow, you have a gift. And we each have this gift. We each have these gifts and strengths. And to say that, wow, there's a divine spark. There's a divine spark that is within us. And to recognize that there is this divine spark, as Dr. Ernest Holmes says in his book, Thoughts Are Things. There's a divine spark at the center of your being. But you need to recognize this, believe it, and act upon your belief. To be the visionary, to be the activist, to be that spiritual activist, and to know that as we substitute whatever that's not working for us, we look at what to combine with it and adapt from it, and to magnify and unify, unify and magnify, or minimize what's not working. We can put to other use whatever we want in our lives. And we can eliminate what stands in our way and take a stand as a divine pattern and totally depend on the stability of Spirit. One of my affirmations is Spirit is my stability. And how that can apply in my health, how that can apply in my inner peace, how that can apply in my prosperity, how that can apply in all my harmonizing relationships. Spirit is my stability. And I come from that place of wonder, as I come from that place of relatedness and know that there is a unique pattern which is unfolding in this divine moment, in this divine pattern out of these spiritual practices. We too can be a visionary. We can be a spiritual activist, and to know I am enough. And enough is enough. Enough is enough, and I am enough. That may be one of the most powerful affirmations, and the feeling around that when I say that, I am enough. And to breathe as that, and to walk as that, and to share in that, and to reach out from that place in the connectedness, in the wonder, in the relatedness, in the connection with that oneness, with the well-being, being the light, and knowing that there is the true colors that shine and light up our lives, and knowing that we accept and affirm an absolute beneficial new way for ourselves. So I invite us to just celebrate in the moment this new way, to walk out of here anew, and to know that there is this new way and this pathway which is already unfolding, being born out of that which is ignited of the divine, infused of the divine, being this influx of the infinite presence, being in the wonderment, being in the joy, in the amazement of this moment, and trusting and knowing that there is the divine unfoldment as this infinite presence and life in this ever-expanding place of good, in the universal good, and catching that wave and being in this wave of peace, of love, of this space of grace and unconditional love, and to ignite delight and being in the love, being in the presence and the power, and knowing that being backed by all of the resources of the universe, knowing that the cosmos, the creative life force which created the cosmos, which created the universe, is ever available right here and right now. So in this instant and constant supply of this source, of the one source of the energetic presence of life, there is a vibration of being part of the answer. And I know that as I am unified and connected, that there is all the best of the connection and the resolution and the answer being ignited, knowing that there is not only kindling, which is warming the heart of life, it is the living spirit that is born to be great, born to be in this infinite presence and to represent the presence and to recognize and realize it even more fully right here and right now. So standing in the light, standing in the divine pattern of the uniqueness of this divine infinite unfoldment, knowing that love is the generating, and it generates and engenders and fosters this beautiful life. There is peace, there is harmony, there is joy, there is jubilant nature unfolding as itself in this creativity, in this expression of the fullness of the divine. And I'm very grateful, so deeply filled with gratitude and filled and fulfilled from this place of joy, of empowering good, and knowing that there is the everlasting empowerment and enrichment of the spiritual life. So it is the life divine. It is being released into this beautiful, loving, amazing, grace-filled presence of the power of the law that carries it forward, and knowing that there is this being infused and being of the light, which is ignited and igniting the light as itself. And so be it, and so I celebrate, and so it is.